Namaste and welcome to Vinyasa Flow Yoga on this full moon on December 7th, 2022. My name is Michelle Chua, and for today's practice, please have a strap of some kind and 2 blocks and a blanket. Beach towel works fine as well. Find a comfortable way to sit in which you can turn out the thighs in front of you, whether you stretch the legs out or you bend the knees cross-legged, and elevate your pelvis on your folded blanket so that your hips are higher than your knees. I want to share a bit of Mystic Mama's astrological reading on this full moon, and it is the full moon in Gemini. The theme is Return to Wonder. And this full moon is about illuminating all of the areas of our life where it's time to invite in the medicine of curiosity, adaptability, flexibility, and change. Gemini is the first air sign of the zodiac and represents the part of you who is the curious child, student, and teacher, all rolled into one. Full moons in this sign seek to heal all of the parts of us that have stopped believing that there is more to learn, discover, and explore. No matter how much we think we know, and no matter how sure we think we are, Gemini energy reminds us that life always abounds with the opportunity to learn something new. Life always abounds with the opportunity to return to wonder. This full moon is inviting us to consider the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, about what we can do, and where we are going. If recent months have found you questioning your inner narrative, know that you are right where you are supposed to be, because it is only through asking the questions and truly becoming the seeker that you can expand your growth edges and invite in the much needed winds of change. There is great healing in knowing that today does not have to be the same as yesterday, and that tomorrow holds a promise that is yet unexplored. No matter what circumstances have brought you to where you are right now, know that you can always rewrite your story. Here are some full moon contemplations. In what areas of
Can
my
you
life?
turn it down a little?
I'm going to silence you because.
Thank you. Oh, you didn't silence it?
No. Here are some full moon contemplations. In what areas of my life is it time to get curious and to invite in a fresh perspective? 2, what old story is time to revisit and rewrite? The stories that we tell ourselves in our minds. 3, where am I being called to shake off the dust of the past and open my heart to the promise of the new? And 4, what lessons learned must I carry forward into the next season of my life in order to spiral up into the person I know myself to be? I'll repeat these 4 contemplations when we enter a meditation practice. And if you prefer, you can either sit in meditation, reflecting upon them, or take out your journal and pen. And if you're watching the recording, you can easily pause this when we begin our meditation practice. So let's begin our asana, physical yoga. First, by sitting still, closing your eyes, and becoming more aware of the experience you're having in your physical body. Noticing sensations all throughout. And knowing what your body might be needing in this physical practice today in order to feel more balanced. Now bring your awareness to the way your body is naturally breathing. Sensing the qualities of your breath. In this way, observing your energetic state of being. Though a full moon practice invites us to slow down a bit more, lunar energy is more yin. This is still a Vinyasa Flow Yoga class, but we'll invite more moments of sustained stillness and really slowing down. Now bring your attention to your mind. Notice its activity. And sense the way you feel right now mentally and emotionally. So now assessing with what you're working with, let's start to tune into the energy of your heart center, Anahata Chakra. Awakening energy flow there by inviting gratitude. What are some things you appreciate as you're sitting here right now? What are some things you appreciate about your life in the past few weeks of this lunar season? Let the breath in a little slower, feeling the depth of the breath. And then exhale slowly and gently. Now start to pinpoint one thing you would like to focus your mind and energy on cultivating through this practice today. Beginning to set your intention. In light of what I read about this full moon in Gemini, what are some old narratives that you might be ready to readdress and rewrite? Is there anything you're choosing to set an intention to begin letting go of in any area of your life so that you can declutter, practice saucha, purity and cleansing, to invite new, fresh energy? And now, in the practice of non-attachment, we offer up our efforts to something beyond our individual selves. And this is a way to loosen the grip of the ego. So I invite you to choose someone that you care about, or a group of someone's, or a cause, maybe the universe at large, to dedicate tonight's practice to. Now let's prepare to create resonance as we're sharing our practice, thus holding an energetic container that we share presence in. Let's join our voices in 3 chants of Om, the vibrational sound that reminds us of our interconnectedness. So inhale fully. Bowing in towards your heart center. Let's slow the breath down with the lips closed. So inhaling into the belly, into the sides of your rib cage, into your sternum at the top of your chest, lifting through the crown as you exhale slowly through the nose. Again, inhaling a little bit longer, but gently, a little fuller into the back of your body, cross your collarbones. And as you exhale through the nose, begin to create a gentle whispering sound by softly narrowing the back of your throat. When you arrive at the bottom of the breath, continue to create the sound as you inhale as well. A soft ocean wave sound, now beginning the practice called Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breathing. This breathing technique is a way to regulate your energy by calming your nervous system and warming up your body, preparing it for movement as well as steadying your mental focus as you're creating a gentle, steady rhythm. Listen to that rhythm, and let's begin to lower down onto our backs. So as you lie on the floor, bend your knees towards your chest, and taking hold of your bent knees, start to rotate your thighs apart and back together again a few times. So as I mentioned, we're going to be focusing quite a bit physically on opening around the hip region and some lateral extension to the spine, sides of the torso. Switch directions, circling the thighs. So we're starting by lubricating the hip joints. Set your feet on the ground so they are wider apart than your hips distance on the floor. Separate your knees as wide apart as your feet. Open the arms so they're out of the way of the legs. And inhale, slowly drop your thighs to the right. Keep your feet where they are. Exhale your thighs to the left. So go nice and slow. Treat this like a vinyasa flow or breath-led movement. Inhale to the right. Exhale to the left. Keep going, about 3 more cycles of breath. You might even be feeling a massage into your lower back and glutes. Now, when you finish this last exhale, separate your feet hips width apart. So bring them a little closer. And rotate your right thigh bone externally at the hip socket. Pick up your right foot and flex it as you cross the ankle just above your left knee onto your thigh, like a figure 4 shape. Keep your left foot on the ground, and using your right hand, cup the inner top of your right thigh and help to rotate the right thigh externally, like you're drawing your right sitting bone forward towards your inner left heel. As you do that, bring weight down to the back of your left hip. Try to evenly ground the left and right sides of your pelvis. Splaying the right thigh open, continue to flex your right foot by spreading the toes back towards your right shin. We'll do this to stabilize your right knee, and now begin to lift the left foot just little by little. If it's reachable, or you can still relax your head and shoulders on the ground, take hold of your left thigh with your left hand. Keep rotating the right thigh externally, and maybe hold the left thigh with both hands. Bringing the left thigh just gently closer to the capacity where still keep your ujjayi breathing nice and smooth. Maybe adding your right elbow or forearm to gently nudge your right thigh open. Let's take just 2 last breaths here and thread the needle. Set your 2 feet onto the ground about hips distance apart again. Now rotate your left thigh externally at the hip. You flex the left foot, cross the ankle just above your right knee on the thigh. Keep your left hand cupping the top of your left thigh, helping to continue rotating the left sitting bone forward towards your inner right heel, while rooting down the back of your right hip just as much as the back of the left hip. Check in with your breathing. Now you could keep the right foot on the floor, or if you start to lift it, do it little by little. We're not rushing to bring the right leg all the way up towards our chest. Really feel into the sensations as you progress through this movement. Maybe use the right hand to take hold of the back of the right thigh as the left hand continues to spiral the left thigh externally. Or breath by breath, you might use 2 hands to bring the right leg closer, nudging the left thigh open with your left elbow or forearm. Make sure that you're still flexing your left foot here. Let's tune into 2 more deep breaths. Now this time as you uncross the legs, stretch the legs on the floor, raise your arms overhead, and interlace your fingers. Flip your palms inside out. Cross your right ankle over your left ankle. And like a crescent moon, slide your ankles and wrists towards the left edge of your mat while swaying your hips towards the right edge of your mat. Stretching into the right side of your torso. Keep the backs of your shoulders both on the ground here. Backs of your hips both on the ground. As you breathe in deeply, send the breath into that right side of your lower back and lungs. Stretching the muscles in between your ribs. They're called your intercostal muscles. One more full breath. Slide your ankles and wrists back to the center of your mat and switch the cross of your ankles. Left over right, switch the cross of your index and middle fingers as you flip the palms inside out. Sway your hips to the left, slide your ankles and wrists to the right into a crescent moon shape. Keep the backs of your two hips and two shoulders grounded. Imagine filling up the left side of your lungs a little more deeply with each breath here. Breathe down into the left side of your lower back. Two more deep breaths. Now, as you uncross your legs and hands, draw your bent knees into your chest and start to rock in any direction, side to side, forward and back. Maybe you forward and back, you bring the legs towards plow overhead and the feet towards a squat on the ground in front. Let's eventually meet on hands and knees in tabletop pose. Spreading your fingers flat and wide where your index fingers are pointing straight ahead or slightly turned out. Stack your shoulders right above your wrists, but step your knees a couple inches behind your hips. Now listen to the breath. As you inhale, glide your chest through your upper arms, roll your shoulders behind you, looking up into cow pose. As you exhale, press down with your palms, lift your navel, dome your back, slowly dropping your head and your tailbone, cat pose. Take another 4 cycles of breath in cat cow. Inhale as you lift the chest. Exhale as you contract the abdomen. Lengthening the front of your spine as you breathe in. Lengthening the back of your spine as you breathe out. Now relax to a neutral spine and let's take a sideways movement. As you inhale, look over your right shoulder behind you and sway your hips to the right. As you exhale, look over your left shoulder behind you, sway your hips to the left. Stay here, inhale. Exhale, look over the right, sway your hips to the right. And come back to center, tuck your toes and lift your hips high into downward facing dog. Allow a few breaths to pedal out your feet slowly, to swivel your hips left and right like you're dancing the twist. And to add any other movement your body needs to explore, to invite energy to flow through it more freely. As you root down through your finger pads, lift your shoulders and hips high and back, softening your neck, steady your gaze now towards the floor as you separate your feet hips distance parallel to each other. Let your body be still as we invite more spaciousness in it by rotating your triceps or outer upper arms towards the ground to spread your shoulder blades wider apart. sealing in the bottom of your front ribs as you firm the top fronts of your thigh bones back. Sinking your heels deeper and deeper towards the ground, maybe lifting the toes if you're able to, spreading the toes apart. Now fill up the lungs fully. 2 more breaths here in Adho Mukha Svanasana. After this exhale, walk up to the front of your mat, entering Uttanasana, standing forward fold, where your feet are still hips distance apart. Second toes are parallel to each other. Then bend your knees generously as you reach the hands behind your lower back to clasp or hold a strap between them. Tilt your weight as far forward as you can balance, then inhale, lift your heart and draw it forward as you roll the shoulders back. Exhale, bow from the hips, completely dropping your head as we fold for a few deep breaths. Stretch your arms further and further away from your lower back. And with a light bend in your elbows, lift the shoulders up, inviting space in your neck. Maybe even gently shake and nod your head to help loosen your neck. Relax your jaw and soften your eyes. Though this is a vinyasa flow practice, we are starting slowly on this full moon, attuning to or harmonizing with a yin lunar energy. So how do you invite that into your practice today? This welcoming of stillness, slowing down, and even a soft grace. Release your arms, bend your knees deeper, and tilt your weight forward. As you let your head hang heavy, take a slow inhale to roll your spine upright, as if stacking one vertebra at a time. Lifting your head last, circle the shoulders behind you and down. Let the arms rest by your sides with your palms facing forward. A few breaths here, standing tall with intention, shoulders stacked above the hips, hips stacked above the ankles. Spreading your toes and rooting down to the 4 corners of each foot as you invite energy to rise up through the center of your body, up to your crown, up to your heart. Let your tailbone descend towards your inner heels. Bring your mind's eye to your heart center and remind yourself of your intention and dedication for this practice. Join your hands at your heart. And let's begin a slow flow of Surya Namaskar, sun salutation. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and roll your shoulders back and down, coiling your chest up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward from the hips, maybe bending the knees to lengthen the spine. Press your fingertips on blocks, your shins, or the floor. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward like a flat back. Lower the hands outside your feet. Exhale, step the left knee behind you into a kneeling lunge. Inhale here, sinking your hips, drop the shoulders behind. This is a variation of sun salutation. As you exhale, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and scissor the right hip back, straightening your legs to your capacity as you bow, pyramid pose. Inhale, lower the left knee, gaze up again in a kneeling lunge. As you hold your breath, step back into plank pose, top of a push-up, legs straight or knees on the ground. Exhale, lower your knees, chest, then chin, sticking your tailbone up, hug your elbows close to your rib cage. Inhale, slide your belly to the ground, press the tops of your feet down, and coil your chest lightly into cobra pose. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back to downward facing dog. Inhale, keep your hips squared and raise the left leg behind you, rotating the left outer hip to face the ground. Exhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb and lower your right knee. Keep the back toes tucked as you inhale to sink your hips and gaze up. Exhale, lift your right knee, straightening your legs by scissoring the left hip back as you bow, pyramid pose. Inhale, lower the right knee, come back to a kneeling lunge and gaze up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Press with your hands on your shins or the ground. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward. Exhale, fold. Root down through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up, coiling the chest towards the moon. Exhale, join your hands at your heart. One more time, second side. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow from your hips, Uttanasana. Press your fingertips down. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Lower your hands outside your heels and exhale, step your right knee back to Anjaneyasana, kneeling lunge. Inhale, lift the right knee and scissor the left hip back, folding into pyramid. Stay here, exhaling. Inhale, lower the right knee and coil your chest up again. As you hold your breath, step into your version of plank pose. Exhale, Ashtangasana, lower your knees, then your chest, sticking the tailbone up, then your chin, hugging the elbows towards the ribs. Slide to the ground and inhale to Cobra. Root down through the tops of your feet, peel your shoulders back. Exhale, lift your hips, downward facing duck. Inhale, keep your hips squared and raise the right leg behind you, lifting from the inseam. Exhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb, lower your back knee and gaze up. Stay here as you inhale, sinking your hips. Keep the back toes tucked. Exhale, lift the left knee, scissor your right hip back to straighten your legs and bow, pyramid pose. Inhale, kneeling lunge again. Exhale, step your left foot forward to fold, Uttanasana. Press your shins or the floor. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead and rise, Urdhva Hastasana with a back bend. Exhale, join your hands together at your heart. Please take your 2 blocks and step to face the wide width of your mat. Open your arms apart and walk or jump your feet apart, about as wide apart as your hands are stretched. Place your blocks in their tallest height behind your calves. And I'm gonna not mirror you, so just listen carefully. From your right hip socket, rotate your right leg externally, turn it out 90 degrees towards the short edge of your mat. From your left hip socket, turn in the left leg 45 degrees towards the same short edge of the mat. Align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. And let's prepare for triangle. Open your arms wide apart so your chest is facing the wide width of your mat that you're facing. Glide your pelvis sideways towards the short width of your mat, away from your toes. Reach your right hand past your right knee and place the right hand to the right side of your right shin onto your block, adjusting its height, where you place the block right up against your right leg. And the right hand is directly under your right shoulder. Now press the crease of your right hip back towards your left outer heel. Stretch your torso forward past your right toes. Spin your chest slightly upward towards the sky, raising your left arm. You might gaze past your left thumb. Think about lifting your kneecaps, flexing the front muscles of your thighs without locking your knees. Root down firmly through both feet, especially your left foot. Put more weight on your feet and less weight on your right hand. Now let's listen to 3 more slow breaths. Take your time breathing. Trikonasana. Press down to your feet. Inhale, slowly rise up. Parallel your feet in this wide stance. And now let's rotate the left leg externally 90 degrees to face the opposite short edge of your mat. Turn in the right leg 45 degrees internally. Align your left heel to intersect the arch of your right foot and keep your legs straight. Open your arms wide so your chest is completely facing the wide width of your mat you're facing. Glide your pelvis sideways towards the short edge of your mat away from your toes. And lengthen your left arm and torso towards the front edge. Place the left hand on a block just to the left side of your left shin, adjusting the height of the block as you press the crease of your left hip back towards your outer right foot. Keep stretching your torso forward past your left toes. Stack your shoulders and your wrists in one straight line and spin your chest up slightly to face the sky. Check in with your breathing. Make sure it's full, calm, and even. Lifting your kneecaps as you flex the front muscles of your thighs. Let your feet become heavier than your left hand. Really root down to your right outer foot. Tune into 3 more breaths here in Trikonasana. Now root down to your feet. Inhale to slowly rise. And from both hip sockets, rotate both legs externally, entering a wide-legged squat. To bend both knees, and you might use your hands to just help rotate your inner thighs back so your sitting bones rotate downward and your frontal hip bones slightly lift towards your lowest front ribs. So we're trying to aim the tailbone down rather than tilt it further back. Take a look at your knees and align the center of your knees to point out the same degree as your center toes beneath them. You might rock a little side to side as you welcome openness in the hips here. And now we're going to enter a small flow with a breath. So tune into your breath. This is a heart-centered flow movement. As you keep your feet where they are, inhale, straighten the legs and raise your arms towards the full moon. As you bend the knees again, exhale, slowly press your palms downward towards the earth in front of you. Inhale, straighten the legs and sweep your arms towards your heart center like you're inviting something in. Exhale, bend your knees and expand your arms wide apart as though you're sharing what you're cultivating from within. Again, inhale up towards the full moon. Exhale down towards the earth. Inhale up, invitation to the heart. Exhale, bend, expand the energy of your heart. Last time, inhale up, full moon. Exhale down, earth. Inhale towards your heart center. Exhale, radiate from your heart center. And then from here, let's parallel the feet in the wide stance. Bring your hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders back and down. Breathe in, then exhale, forward fold. Take your blocks, place your hands on your blocks. And walk your blocks towards your right leg, bending your right knee. Keep your right knee and your right toes facing the wide width of your mat. To your degree, walk the blocks forward, maybe even off the mat, in front of your right toes. Bowing in, Keep your left heel heavy on the floor. Bring the blocks closer to you, and now rotate your right thigh externally again, pivoting the right toes to face the short edge of the mat where you're turning out the right leg. Place the block, the right block, just on the inside of the right leg. Turn in the left leg slightly. Press the right arm and the right thigh against each other. Right knee is bent directly above the right heel. Rotate your right glute underneath your body. Raise your left arm towards the sky. This time, rotate the left shoulder so the tricep is facing the wide width of the mat that you're facing, and then extend the left arm overhead. You're in extended side angle pose. Keep rotating your right sitting bone underneath your body. Press the right arm and the right leg against each other and spin your chest slightly to face the sky. Breathe into the left side of your lungs, left side of your lower back. Utthita Parshvakonasana. Place your two hands on your two blocks again and rotate the left leg externally. Now start to sink your pelvis as you lift the left toes, coming into Skandasana. Now you could sit on the blocks, add some support, or you could hover the pelvis off the ground, or maybe sit on the ground. See what's available. Use your right arm and splay open the right thigh. Deep breaths. Now take your two blocks with you, come back through center in a wide-legged forward fold, parallel your feet again. Inhale, lengthen your chest forward, exhale, fold. Take a couple of breaths here in Prasarita Padottanasana. Take the blocks in both hands and walk your hands over to your left leg. With all your toes facing forward, bend your left knee, keep your right heel on the floor, and start to walk the blocks in front of your left foot to your capacity. So you're bowing forward to the left. Breathe here. Now turn out your left leg at the hip, 90 degrees, to face the short edge of the mat, like you would Warrior Two. Turn in the right leg slightly and place the left block on the inner side of your left leg. Bend your left knee right on top of the left heel. Press the left arm and the left inner thigh against each other. Rotate your left sitting bone under your body and raise your right arm towards the sky. At your right shoulder, rotate your right tricep to face the wide width of the mat you're facing and extend the right arm overhead. Now you're in extended side angle pose. Root down firmly to your right outer foot and spiral your chest slightly to face the full moon while sending your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Pressing left arm and left thigh against each other and rotating left sitting bone underneath your body. Breathe. 3 more breaths. Utthita Parshvakonasana. Now place your hands on your 2 blocks again and let's prepare for Skandasana. Rotate your right thigh externally again, lifting the right toes. Both legs are still turned out. Left knee is bent as you start to lower the pelvis. You can use your block or blocks to sit on, like this. Or maybe you hover your pelvis off the floor, or you sit on the ground. Cross the left arm to the left, nudging your inner left thigh to splay open as you spin your chest up towards the sky to the right. 3 more breaths. Flex your right foot here. And take your blocks with you. Help you to rise up. Come back to parallel feet, wide-legged forward fold. Hands on blocks or the floor this time. Come up to your fingertips. Inhale, lift your chest and draw your spine forward. See that your feet are parallel to each other, and exhale, bow further. Maybe walk the hands back, lifting the shoulders up away from your neck. Let your head fall. If your head is touching the floor already, walk your feet closer together. 3 more breaths. Then crawl your hands forward. Pivot to face the front edge of your mat in a lunge and step back to downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Slide your right shin across your mat in front of your pelvis for single pigeon pose. Slide your left toes tucked behind you, lowering your pelvis to sit. Place your hands alongside your hips and lift the hips. Then slide the left toes further back, scissoring the right hip back and rotating the left outer hip forward. Now, if it's comfortable for you to parallel your right shin with the front edge of your mat, make sure to flex your right foot. Curl the toes back towards the right shin to stabilize your right knee. If there's a gap between the right glute and the ground, fill that gap with your block or blanket. Relax your left toes and breathe in as you lift your chest. Little by little, breath by breath, start to lower your torso, maybe placing your forehead on your blocks. 10 breaths here. Slowly begin to lift up into downward facing dog, raising your right leg towards the sky and giving your right leg some movement at your hip. From downward facing dog, slide your left shin across your mat in front of your pelvis and tucking your right toes, slide the right toes back. Place your hands alongside your hips and lift your pelvis. Slide your right toes further back. So I've recently learned that this is a safer way for your front knee in adjusting the squaring of your hips, lifting the pelvis, sliding the right toes back or the back toes back, and then letting the pelvis lower. So notice if you might need a prop under your left glute to keep your hips balanced and facing forward. Notice if you need to flex your left foot if your left shin parallels the front edge of your mat. Now relax your right toes and inhale, lift your heart towards the moon. Take your time, allow a few breaths to explore bowing forward to whatever degree is available on this side of your hips. Let the sides be different if they are. Not forcing any side to go into some particular depth. There's no goal here. Just be present with the breath. One more deep breath. And once more, come back to downward facing dog and raise your left leg. Give it some movement at your hip. We'll come on down to hands and knees. Open up the shoulders a bit, particularly the lats and the triceps. So place your blocks on their second level or medium height like this across your mat, touching each other in front of you. Extend your arms forward with your palms face down, then rotate the outer sides of your upper arms downward to spread the shoulder blades wider across your back ribs and press the shoulder blades down your back. Keep doing those two actions of spiraling the triceps down and pressing the shoulders down your back, and place your bent elbows on the blocks, shoulders distance apart. Press your fingertips into each other. Then step your knees hips distance apart. Walk your knees about 2 inches behind your hips and trace your thumbs down the back of your skull, down the back of your neck, as far back as your thumbs will go. Let your head fall freely. Make sure the elbows don't splay apart, wider than shoulders distance. Let your chest sink too, and then lift your front ribs. Don't let the belly just sag down. Firm in the belly so that you're supporting and lengthening your lower back. Draw your hips back. Now let's be here for 5 more breaths. Engage your abdomen to slowly lift your head, your elbows off the blocks. Put the blocks aside. Actually, take one block with you and put the other block aside. Come on down to your back. Let's prepare for bridge pose. We'll take 2 moving bridge poses, and then the third one will stay for 5 to 10 breaths with the pelvis lifted. So use the block to hug firmly by the skinniest width in between your knees and thighs. Separate your feet as wide apart as your knees. Bring your arms down by your sides and have your heels where you could almost touch them with your fingertips, and then slide them forward another 3 inches so that we can work the glutes and the hamstrings a little more. So heels a bit more forward than usual. Ground the backs of your shoulders, ground the 4 corners of each foot, and parallel your feet to each other. Moving bridge pose, we're going to inhale, lift the pelvis, exhale, lower the pelvis, very slowly. So keep your pelvis on the ground, start to breathe in, and tilt your tailbone up towards the block with your pelvis on the ground. This engages the glutes. Then begin to pull the tailbone forward towards the block, lifting the pelvis, stretch the fronts of your thighs forward, lift the chest, tilt the chin back. And when you get to the top of the inhale, very slowly lower your upper back, then your middle back. 1 vertebra at a time, lower the tailbone last. So that's the process for round 2, which you'll take on your own. The pelvis on the floor, start by tilting the tailbone towards the block, then lead with the tailbone as you lift the pelvis. Continue to the top of the inhale and bridge. Really take your time lowering the spine here on the exhalation, as if kissing the earth 1 vertebra at a time. All right, prepare to lift and hold for 5 to 10 breaths. Try the same way of lifting. Keep the pelvis on the floor. First, tilt the tailbone towards the block with the pelvis on the ground. Then lead with the tailbone. Stretch it towards the block and lengthen the fronts of your thighs forward. This time, walk the upper arms closer together under your back ribs and keep your arms straight without bending the elbows. If your hands meet, you might interlace your fingers. Keep your feet still and isometrically drag your heels back towards your glutes while hugging the block and stretching the front of your thighs forward. Expand the breath fully into your lungs as you open your throat. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. Take your time lowering on an exhale when you're ready. Take the block, put it aside as you windshield wiper your shins side to side for a few breaths. All right, I'm going to invite you to set up in a restorative posture of Supta Baddha Konasana with the support of your blanket and your 2 blocks. So let's come on up to sit as we're setting it up. Place 1 block at the rearmost edge of your mat, either on the tallest height, good place to start, or the medium height crossing the mat, which will take you deeper into the back bend. Place the 2nd block on the medium height crossing your mat. Then take your blanket and roll it up smoothly and tightly into a long burrito or an egg roll. And bring the soles of your feet together in Baddha Konasana and place the center of that rolled blanket across your inner ankles. Tuck the ends of the blanket under your outer thighs so that it's like you're swaddling a baby. You want it to feel really snug and cozy and supported. Keep your pelvis on the floor and now start to lean your torso back into the blocks. You want to catch the area that is right beneath the bottom tips of your shoulder blades with the closer block, allowing your chest to rise as your shoulder bones descend in the space between the blocks. Then you want to catch the back of your skull with the furthest block, adjust the height of it. It's a taller height, it's less back bend. If it's the same height as the one under your ribs, it's more back bend. So see what you need here. Adjust to make sure the blocks encourage symmetry in your shoulders. Your shoulders are both evenly relaxing down and away from your neck. Rotate your palms to face up. Rest the backs of your hands on the floor beside your thighs. And if you have a strap or something to cover your eyes, you can place that over your eyes to encourage you to turn your attention deeper inward. And we're setting up now for Shavasana like this, in a restorative pose. To make any last little adjustment so that you can feel able to be still in a restful way. As you close your eyes, allow one more slow inhale with very little effort. Let it expand as fully as you can into your lungs, into your belly, into your pelvis, into your feet, into the crown of your head. And then slowly and gently let it go. As you let go of control of your breathing, allow your body to sink deeper into the earth's support, deeper towards the center of the earth. Feel the sweetness of letting go, sweetness, the surrendering effort of allowing. Shavasana. as you rest in stillness a little bit longer with your eyes closed. Scan your awareness throughout your physical body, sensing the effects of your yoga practice. Begin by moving very subtly, like slowly and gently turning your head to softly stretch your neck, rubbing your thumbs across your fingertips, and then maybe taking that blanket from under your outer thighs and slowly unraveling it so you can stretch the legs, stretch the arms. Step your feet onto the ground and slowly turn over onto your right side, resting your head for a few breaths. As you lie on your side, bring your attention to your breath. Sensing your energy body. Take your time lifting your body up. Rise to sit comfortably for meditation of 5 minutes. So like I mentioned at the beginning of practice, if you would like to journal, stream of consciousness style, for your meditation, I'm going to share the 4 prompts for self-reflection. You can grab a journal and pen, or you can use the questions as a stimulus to ask your inner being as you practice inward listening during meditation, which is a practice of posing a question to your inner wisdom and allowing space to just notice what may arise as you pause in silence. You might feel things in the body very subtly, felt sense. You might hear thought, words, or have thoughts or images, or you might not experience any of that now, but simply bringing out the question stimulates your attention, and you might feel answers later, even after practice. So let's prepare. Sit tall, relaxed. Close your eyes if you're not writing in your journal, or steady a soft gaze ahead. I'll allot 2 minutes for each question. So the first question is, in what areas of my life is it time to get curious and to invite in a fresh perspective? In what areas of my life is it time to get curious and to invite in a fresh perspective? Second question, what old story is time to revisit and rewrite? What old story that you tell yourself is it time to revisit and rewrite? Narratives about who you are, or perceptions of other people. Next question. Where am I being called to shake off the dust of the past and open my heart to the promise of the new? Where am I being called to shake off the dust of the past and open my heart to the promise of the new? And the last question, what lessons learned must I carry forward into the next season of my life in order to spiral up into the person I know myself to be? What lessons learned must I carry forward into the next season of my life in order to spiral up into the person I know myself to be? Prepare to close our practice with a thought of gratitude, taking a moment to appreciate something in this moment. And with that, remind yourself out loud or mentally what your intention was for today's practice. And remember to whom or what you dedicated today's practice. And together, let's close with 3 ohms. Inhale deeply. Bowing in, acknowledging the light within you. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.